Megan Oliva here with the All-American Brian Stann. Brian is fighting on the UFC 136 card this Saturday. Brian, I haven't talked to you in a while. I want to get your thoughts on Anderson Silva's last performance. He is in your weight class. I wanted to hear what you thought about his performance against Okami.
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. I think he's the best fighter in the world, and anybody who can rattle off that many wins in a row in the UFC and with so many in devastating fashion deserves that title. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I thought it was an amazing fight against a guy who usually makes people look bad. Okami's a guy that even when you beat him, he makes it an ugly, grinded-out win, and he wasn't able to do that to Anderson Silva. So it was a very impressive performance, and it would be a dream come true for me to be able to fight Anderson one day, because I think he's going to go down, regardless of what happens in his next couple fights, he's going to go down as the greatest fighter in history.
Well, you didn't start off as a middleweight. You were a light heavyweight, and now you moved down to middleweight. Did you ever think you'd be so close to a title shot so quickly in this division?
Honestly, no. I thought it was going to be, I didn't think this was going to come into play until maybe mid-next year, after maybe one or two more fights. But I'm happy that it's here. There's so many fighters who go their entire UFC career without ever getting a title eliminator bout or without ever getting a title shot. So when you get these opportunities and the UFC calls you and says, hey, you're fighting the #2 guy in the world, you got to take them. It doesn't matter. You have to take them. I'm here to fight the best. That's why I'm in the UFC. That's why I do this. I could choose to do other things for a living. I came here to fight the best. I don't want to be carried.
Would you attribute your progress to your training partners and your training camp?
Oh, without a doubt. My training camp and all the different coaches I have from both Atlanta and Albuquerque and wrestling coaches and at my gym, Warrior Legion, they've all helped me. And it's amazing in Albuquerque how many guys like Keith Jardine, Joey Villasenor, Tim Kennedy, John Jones, these guys during their own training camps for years have been giving information to me and helping me along, especially guys like Keith and Joey. I mean, they've done a lot for me. And despite both, being in my weight class, at one point or another, you don't find that everywhere. And Keith was almost like another coach for me this training camp. He came to watch me spar every day, came to watch me grapple, came to help me with my cage defense, etc. And that means an awful lot. When you have an environment like that, that's what has allowed me to progress so much and so fast in the last couple of years.
This is a huge fight card. There's an expo, and we have 2 title shots. You guys are the 3rd fight on the card. Does that kind of make it a little bit easier when there's so much hype surrounding an event to not be that main or co-main event and kind of go about your way a little bit? No,
I don't really care, to be honest with you. I don't care at all. Just tell me what time I need to report to the octagon. When I need to get my hands taped, and I'm here to fight. I'd prefer to just come in and fight, and so it doesn't bother me. This is such a privilege to be able to do this, and 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember what wins or losses we had. We're going to remember fighting on a platform with thousands of people cheering our name. It is an absolute privilege to be able to do this, even if it's just for one fight.
Yesterday I spoke to Dana White, and he said something very, very interesting about you. He said that every fighter on the UFC roster respects you. He said they don't all respect him, they don't all respect each other, but they all respect you. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I'm honored. I didn't know that. It's a great feeling, and I think there's more fighters on the roster that could be said for. I have yet to meet many bad people at all that are on the This sport is so humbling and takes such a dedication and honor and commitment. Those qualities of traditional martial arts are far from gone, and they exist in a very strong fashion amongst the UFC roster. And so I think we all really respect each other for how hard it is to make a living doing this, for what we go through and the sacrifices we make to do this, to put on a show for all the fans and grow this sport. That I think that could be said about a lot of people, but him saying that about me, it's a huge compliment, and I really appreciate it.
Now, Chael Sonnen, your opponent, obviously respects you. Do you feel a little left out? You don't get the Chael Sonnen smack talk?
No, because I'm sure he's going to try and give me the Chael Sonnen ground and pound, so I don't feel left out at all. Me and Chael communicated about 2 weeks before we got matched up. He had a couple buddies of his that were struggling for jobs that were veterans, and so he wanted my charity Hire Heroes USA to help him, which we did actually rather quickly. And he was very thankful for it. And next thing you know, we're at UFC 132, and the UFC sits us next to each other, and so we chatted a little bit. And 2 days later, the UFC called and said, you're fighting each other, and that's just what this game is. We're all in a box. We can fight each other at any given time, and you have to be a professional about that. That's what the UFC is all about: giving the fans the fights they want to see. We don't dodge each other. We fight the best, and that's it. And that's what this fight's all about.
All right. Well, we're really looking forward to that fight on Saturday. Good luck, Brian.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It, guys.
Don't forget to watch Fight Day this Saturday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific.